Hi, my name's Mark. I'm one of the pastors here at Trillium. Have you ever had a difficult boss to work for? A difficult manager that you've had to interact with? A kind of mini tyrant, a mini ruler of the realm that you're a part of. And they're very difficult kinds of people to deal with. In many ways, they exemplify the kinds of qualities I think most of us don't want to be. We've been looking at Paul's discussion on love. He talks about love being patient and kind, having a long fuse and seeing the kinship relationship with not just your immediate family, but with all people, extending that compassion that we extend to our family members, to the world around us. Then Paul goes and he gives a list of what love is not. He says, it is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. We've talked about the specialness that we all seek out in life, and that's the language of our specialness, the desire to be special, to take our unique attributes, gifts, abilities, and to elevate them for our own sort of ego aggrandizement, our own ego benefit. And we try to expand ourselves. Rather than using our gifts and our talents and our unique abilities for the common good, we try to put on the hat of specialness and gain from it. And Paul says, if you really are into love, then you're not seeking the specialness of your life and the language of rudeness and envy and boastfulness, arrogance doesn't belong to you. It's not love when you're engaged in that kind of activity. And then he says this, it does not insist on its own way. It does not seek its own things. It doesn't try to promote its own agenda. Love doesn't try to promote its own agenda. And it's not irritable and it's not resentful. And I'm thinking if you had a manager who was clear on boundaries and good at setting examples for the workplace, but also was a person who wasn't trying to just bully their way through their workplace, not trying to bully their employees to do what they want, not just trying to drive people into a certain way of being in the office, but was more about building team relationships and collaborating with people and trying to find the best in that person and bring it out in them. That's the kind of boss we'd really like to work for, I think, most of us. And they seem to be quite rare. In fact, psychologists have noticed that a lot of corporate climbers have what they call the 3 dark traits. They're narcissistic, they're antisocial, they have a social sort of disorder, and they're highly manipulative people. And they make often a mess of the office situation even as they rise up the corporate ladder. And I think those of us who have worked with people like that realize that's not the kind of person we want to be. That's not the kind of life we want. And we get disillusioned at work, but in other places of our life, we can sometimes create something very, very different. Man, if you can deal with a boss like that and work with them and show them compassion and extend kindness and be adaptable in those circumstances, you can make it anywhere. These are great training opportunities for our lives, these very difficult people to work with. Paul talks about the fact that love doesn't bully. It's not about bullying people, or it's not about bullying situations. And it's not irritable. Literally, the word is prick. It doesn't prick away at things. And it's not easily pricked either. When you're in love, people can prick away at you. They can poke away at you. They can try to aggravate you. They can try to irritate you. And it just kind of bounces off. So when we are truly in the act of love, we're not picking away at people. We're not pricking them. We're not trying to aggravate them or irritate them. And when we're in the space of love, we're immune to those little pricks that come at us in life. That's the kind of love we want to be a part of. And then he says this, he says, it's not resentful. Love is not resentful. It's interesting, the word resent comes from a French word, sentir. Sentir means to feel. And I never knew this about the word resent, but it literally means sent part feel and the re again. It means to feel again that injury or that insult, that aggravation, that animosity that's been directed to you, the hurt that you've had in life. It means to feel it over and over and over again to the point where you feel resentful to that person or to that circumstance. You're living it every day of your life. And what happens when that happens is that you've filled up yourself with this dark energy and there's no place for the light and love to flow through you. True love doesn't know resentment. It doesn't keep track of wrongs. It doesn't keep focused on the bad things. In fact, in the Greek, the literal means is it doesn't keep track of the bad, is what it means. It doesn't keep track or account of the bad things. And sometimes in life, you find what you seek. And if you're looking for all the bad and you're keeping track of it in your mind and you're going over it and over it and over again in yourself, well, guess what? That's what you're going to find. And it has nothing to do with love. It has nothing to do with love. My dad had this great knack of keeping track of all the mistakes that his kids made. And when you made a mistake and he was aggravated by you and he got upset with you, he'd not only give you heck for the thing that you'd done, but then he'd start going down the list. And another thing, and another thing. And he'd go back years on you. And I still remember my poor brother getting chewed out one time and just kind of disappearing to the rest of the house, but feeling sad for him because my dad was recounting the bad in him. That's nothing to do with love. That wasn't an act of love on my father's point. That was his specialness and his ego projecting itself onto my brother, and it didn't really do anything for my brother. And no boss reaming you out at work is going to really help you out that much. There's got to be a better way. In fact, Paul says there is a better way. There's this thing called love, agape, holy love. It's not built on specialness, but it's built on the seeking of common good between ourselves. We want a win-win outcome for everybody. We don't want to beat up on each other. We don't want to bully each other. We want that win-win outcome. And this is what Jesus was about in the deepest ways. He comes into this world to show us how God really thinks and moves in life, how God's heart is for us, that God has this infinite desire to bless. And when the moment of trial comes and they're putting him on the cross, there's no hatred for Jesus. He's seeking the common good in all circumstances. He's not asking God to curse us. And in fact, when he comes back in the resurrected state, he brings us to a new understanding of what love's really about. And we're, in a sense, the continuation of this resurrected divine love. And I pray for you this day when you go out into the world. You don't have to force your way into circumstances. You don't have to prick and pick away at people to get your will done. You don't have to feel that grudge that goes on in your life over and over again. It can all go away. And in that space, heaven's love will flow through you and out into the world. And the light and blessing of heaven will find its fulfillment wherever you walk. And you will know the peace of God.